I'm Heidi Bragg, and this is Life, Cancer, Etc. My goal with this podcast is to connect you with stories and resources that help you feel happier, more resilient, and less stressed, especially when you're going through hard times. So today I'm back with my sister, Kate, and we're here for what is probably part deux of a 3-part series. And so, Kate, why don't you tell them what you've been doing the past week?
Oh, not much.
Liar.
I am 8 hours. I'm 8 days post breast cancer surgery. I had an oncoplastic lumpectomy last Wednesday, which is basically to say they take out the cancer, so they remove and reconstruct all in one go. You've seen my scars at this point. So basically, to not be too graphic or whatever, I don't know how you can talk about this and not be too graphic, really, but
I'll put a little parental warning at the beginning of it.
On the lighter side of things, I appreciate my surgeon's skill, and I've never seen a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but my guess is that if Leatherface dallied in something and wasn't taking it seriously and then went back and decided to change it, that would be close to what my chest looks like at this point. But essentially, they went around the areola, which is the colored part of your nipple, is what that is. And then they went so all the way around from there, if you can imagine, then straight down and then cut under my breasts, basically removed the tissue while they could work, and then sewed both breasts back down so they connect to where my rib cage is. They removed some lymph nodes as well, and then they had to remove some breast tissue on the other side for symmetry because, of course, we don't want one to look like it's happy and younger and the other one, although
it's sad and old. Is that what you mean?
Sad, so you don't want the breast emoji that's got the
oh my gosh.
Face. So I'm sitting here, and they say too. So I'm in this compression bra now for 2 weeks, night and day, and luckily I had 2 drains, which were a pain to mess with, but I've gotten rid of those now. A week post-op, I was able to go in and get those taken out. So there are tubes that did come out of your body and then collect into this little thing that looks like a plastic hand grenade. I don't know why, but it just does.
Mine was like a rectangular box.
No, mine was 2 plastic hand grenades. So when you compress them, they look like a football that needs air in it, right? And so it's connected to this air line, and you put the top on it like you would if you were blowing up a beach ball or something. It has one of those little plugs, and when it's compressed, then it allows that suction to happen, and they will literally drain the stuff out of your body that would otherwise just be fluid that would lead to lymphedema and things like that. I'm doing exercises. I'm supposed to be doing it twice a day now. I remember it about once a day for strengthening back and shoulders and arms and things like that. Mostly, I think it's just to get the
fluid moving.
Fluid and stuff moving around.
Yeah.
And so showering is easier now, and all of that. They did have on my second day in the hospital, basically the day after my surgery, to go back in because I had a hematoma on one side. They figured this out because I had sharp stabbing pain under my rib cage on my left-hand side where most of the work was done. It's where the cancer actually had been on the left side.
And the drain wasn't flowing properly.
The drain wasn't working. The drain was blocked. And I had developed a hematoma, and my nurse was on it, just like white on rice.
White on rice, yep.
And so, and the doctor told me later, my surgeon, both my surgeons look like models. It's amazing. But anyway, the tall one came in and said, your nurse was right on it. And so that saved us a lot of trouble. So at 3 a.m, I was like, I'm having a whole lot of pain, and I was kind of due for pain meds. Took something called Norco, which is like hydrocodone, I guess. And it didn't touch it. And then an hour later, she gave me some morphine, and it didn't touch it. And if morphine doesn't touch your pain,
then
something's up. So by 6 o'clock, I was in the operating room, and they had bumped other people's surgeries and all of that. And sadly, we were 2 hours away from the hospital, which was, it turned out to be a great hospital, but my husband had accidentally grabbed the wrong charger for his phone. So I couldn't get a hold of him, couldn't tell him I was going in, and all of that kind of stuff. And
Yeah, you texted me.
couldn't reach him. And so I just texted the family and just said, pray for me, something's up and I have to go back in, and everything. And I was just bawling and feeling real extra. And in our faith, we have blessings, as I mentioned last time. And I was desperately looking for somebody to give me a blessing. And I was just like, can't you just page someone? This is a huge hospital. There is bound to be. They're like, well, we have a chaplain. I'm like, no, no, no. This is very specific. There's bound to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in this hospital somewhere. I just know there is. But then my surgeon was like, Miss Jensen, we've decided to do this morning. We've bumped everybody in the surgical suite just for this right now. So if we're going to go, we
We're
need to
gonna
go
do it
now,
now.
or we can do it this afternoon, but you're in a lot of pain. And I said, okay. And I just, said a prayer, and my nurse said one with me, and it helped calm me down. And she's from, golly, originally she's from Nigeria, I think. And I hope to someday have the relationship with God the way that this lady did, because
Mm-mm.
I just loved hearing her pray, and it brought me a lot of comfort. And so that, and knowing that my husband would be there eventually, um, got me through. And in a way, the surgeon said, I know you guys are real close. And in a way, I think it would have been agony for him to find out in the midst of stuff that you had gone into surgery. So she was able to call him and talk to him right after I got out. And
Awesome.
so just after the fact was probably better and easier for him to deal with, because then he could just come meet me at the hospital right as I was coming out of anesthesia. So that was really a blessing, but it was hard. So
Well,
yeah,
and you only spent
24
2
hours,
nights in the hospital.
2 nights in the hospital.
That's just crazy.
The goal was, so I can never sleep in the hospital. So the whole like them, I mean, I know they got to take your blood and wake you up and all that kind of stuff, but there's not really any rest for me. So the goal was, if I could get up and go unassisted to the restroom by myself, and the drainage from everywhere was good, they were checking my fluid intake and outgo and all that stuff, then they could release me, because I was never like on a liquid diet or anything. And so
Yeah.
um yeah, so basically I went in originally on a Wednesday, early in the morning. um I had some markers and stuff for my surgery, and they draw on you and stuff like a football field play. um for about like 6 o'clock in the morning, and then something like that, and then my surgery wasn't scheduled till 11. And so yeah, and then I was out by like 2:30, 3 o'clock. That was Wednesday. And then 12 hours later, I was having
Back
terrible,
in.
had to go back in about 6:30 the next morning. So yeah, I just stayed the 2 nights, and then I was able to get up and walk around once everything was actually working pretty well. And my nurses were kind of amazed. At one point before I went in for the second surgery, I nearly fainted. I've never fainted in my life.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I did not know what was going on. And it kind of,
Things just weren't working right.
yeah, things were just off. Blood pressure was high and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, but I came through it well. The nurses were just peaches. I just loved them all. Shout out to those ladies. I had one who found out we liked Indian food, and she was a mammography tech. And so she went home, got off her shift, went home, made my husband and I some dinner, and brought it back up to the hospital.
Wow.
And I would just, oh, do you like this? Even called me on the phone to say, like, how spicy did we like our stuff? I forgot the dish she made for us. But anyway, super sweet. Very,
It takes a special
yeah.
it just takes special people to work in oncology.
Well, it does. And I mean, I was just even I don't know that it was in oncology so much as in like just recovery.
Med surge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they see like, man, they see everything. And a couple of the folks that I had were traveling nurses that had come and were on like a 13-week contract from other states like Pennsylvania and stuff. And I think one of them was from Tennessee. Anyway, so but I was just like, man, I hope you come back, because this place, we need good nurses. And one girl was like, yeah, here we have wound care nurses. My last hospital where I trained, there wasn't any such thing. They just didn't have them on staff. So I had to learn how to take care of all that. And so now she was at age, just a kid. She was like 24, 25. teaching the techs and the other nurses that are the RN trainees, basically, of staying extra time teaching them how to take care of stuff so that they can better take care of their patients.
Hmm.
I mean, and she's just, she's half my age, and I'm just like, man, I wish everybody had that mentality. So
We
anyway,
had Mike, my wound care specialist. If we're giving shout outs, Mike definitely deserves one. And my friend Heather does too, because she was a med surg nurse at Emory St. Joseph's in Atlanta.
yeah,
And she said, "You're going to meet with Mike. He's fabulous." And he is. And he just got me through
yeah,
so many things when I had a stoma, when things weren't, when I had an ileostomy and things weren't sealing right. Mike was just right there and just awesome. So I can't speak highly enough about wound care specialists.
yeah, they're just awesome. So I had, let's see, Eva, Amaka, Juan, who's actually from like Cambodia, I think, or somewhere. So I was like, it's not spelled with a J. And then I had a guy named John and Jorge and Amanda, and I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out, but they were amazing. They were just awesome. So
I'm
see,
still friends on Facebook with some of my nurses.
yeah,
Yeah, from like 8 years ago. One of them was Ema, and she's Nigerian as well. And she was, yeah, her faith was pretty awesome. It was
yeah.
neat to see.
Well, I just love to like, and to me, obviously you don't have to be a spiritual person to be in medicine, but I feel like it's such a, like, there's most of those things where, life can go either way are sort of modified and processed, whether it's grief or illness or birth or death, through a spiritual side of things as well. And so if you have folks who trust their skill, but also are willing to believe in you, and believe in God, I think that's even feels like to me like even having more in your corner. But I had great conversations with people at like 2 in the morning, and because I couldn't sleep anyway, and they were,
Yeah.
I've just started my shift, kind of thing. I had people come and check on me before they left, like, oh, how's my patient? I was hoping they'd move you. I said they better not give you to somebody else, like that kind of thing. And just
They get invested.
they do after, and it's like I've known you what, like 12 hours, but you've stayed with me that whole 12 hours.
Yeah.
It's I think it's probably something similar to how like combat veterans feel when they work together but not for very long, that kind of thing. But anyway, they knew always that I liked the ice they had because it was like the Sonic ice, like the good ice, crunchy and but soft, and then cranberry juice
Yep.
because
Me
I
too.
I felt like that tart, like right at the end, you feel like, okay, yes, I'm satiated. This will last me for a little while. So I can't sit there and sip water. Never worked for me.
No.
So anyway, kind of silly, but so yeah, so the swelling's gone down a lot. When I was originally in this compression bra, I was in a double XL right as I came out of surgery, and now I'm just in a large, which I
So your
would have been.
swelling's getting better.
Yeah, so the swelling's gone down and the drains are out. So, but originally, like bra size, I would have been in a large anyway, just with my typical size. So I'm sort of back-ish to my typical size, but a little swollen. But I still feel like me. I do have to say, looking at me in the mirror right now, when I'm about to get in the shower or whatever, is hard because I've got like peach fuzz baby chick hair coming in, but it's still patchy, and they took my port out, so I have the med port scar, and now I have, these, my chest is, yeah, I see yours to match. And then now I have my chest is just sort of slashed.
Can I just say though, your perception of it versus how it looks. It really isn't. When you told me what it was going to look like, and then you showed me what it looked like,
Yeah.
it was not nearly as
Graphic.
extensive or graphic
Yeah.
as you had made it sound. But I know it feels that way because it's your body. Because you're also, Kate, you're also feeling all the stuff that's been, screwed with on the inside.
Yeah.
So it feels, you see that, at least I did. I saw that as a symbol of everything else I was feeling.
Yeah. And like right now too, just like your skin is healing and it's itchy.
Mhm.
And that's a good thing, but at the same time, it kind of drives you nuts. And I have pain meds, but they give me nightmares, and so I've just been relying on the Tylenol or whatever, and it's okay. I mean, it's nothing I can't live with, but it has, I've had a couple of rough days this week where I just thought, we're in this. On my last chat with you, I talked about focusing on the next evolution and how I love that quote. And I'm like, I'm in limbo right now. I don't know what the next evolution looks
Mhm.
like or how long it's going to take to get here, because in 2 weeks they're going to go and they're going to remove the tape from that's protecting my sutures, and then in another month I'm going to have radiation, and so that will mess stuff up again in a way and shrink things. And so will I have a chest that looks odd when I'm in a swimsuit or whatever? And it's not like that's even that big of a deal, but like when
But
you're
you
looking
just don't
at
know.
yourself in the mirror, there is no veil. You see what you see. And I don't think I've ever had like body dysmorphic disorder or anything like that, but your perception of how you feel when you get in and you have a full length mirror in your bathroom, all the perception is stripped away and it's just you. And I still think, life is a gift and bodies are wonderful, the way they can heal themselves and stuff. And my husband got a little upset with me last week when I was pretty teary anyway on the way home. And I think it was mostly because he just hadn't slept. But again, he'd been through this before with somebody who didn't make it. And so I just said, I just feel bad. I just feel so, I didn't use the word ugly, but I was just like, I just feel awful. And he was like, I'm sorry that you do. But 5 years ago, we might have been talking about funeral plans rather than when you're going to be up and around. And, and he brought up a lot of good points. And I said, but I know what I look like. And he said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, I've seen my chest. I've looked in a mirror and seen what they did after surgery. And I know they did it to save my life. And I'm grateful. But
Doesn't make it easy.
it doesn't make it easy. And I know it's not a contest, but then he got it. He was like, "Oh, sweetheart, now I understand. And I'm sorry for that. But again, what you think it looks like and what it will look like." And he grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, so he's like seen some pretty bad scars and such, and bullet wounds and whatnot. He's very good at changing dressings. They found that out. Anyway, he was just like, you can't always call the cops. Anyway, um,
That misspent youth in London's paying off in spades.
anyway, but he's like, when you don't have anybody to call, I was like, I thought you weren't a Boy Scout. He was like, I was kind of the opposite. But when you can't call the hospital, you got to figure out how to do for yourself. So
I shouldn't have
anyway,
characterized it as misspent youth. I should have characterized it as colorful
oh
past
God, yeah,
experiences.
the collage that is my husband. Anyway,
Yeah,
he got in and
he's
he said,
awesome.
I've seen those scars. And he's like, honestly, I've seen way, way worse that I knew weren't going to heal. He's like, yours, the surgeon knew exactly what they were doing and they were as careful as possible. And even though everything is like five different shades of blue and green because it's healing, he's like, it's healing exactly. It's what it
Mhm.
should look like
That's
at
right.
this point in your healing. So that was a comfort. But yeah, the chemo fog's still there. So that's hard to, um,
Dude.
I locked myself out of my bedroom. I don't know why we even had a lock like that on our bedroom. We have a key lock on the bedroom door. It was really odd. The house we rent used to be like a daycare, so I guess this was like an office or something. Anyway, so but he's like, "So you locked yourself out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have my phone. I'll be fine." It was like noon. He came home within like 30 minutes, and I was like, "So what are you doing?" And he was like, "I'm getting the door open." And I said, "Are you going to have to take it off the hinges?" And he said, "Oh no, I'm good." And so within about 15 seconds, he's like, "We're good. It's open." I'm like, "You want to tell me how you did
I
that?"
love Alex. No.
So he's like, "I won't tell you where I learned it or how long ago I started doing it, but here we go." So anyway,
He's awesome.
he saved me from several things. But and I should just throw in here, my husband has been a law-abiding citizen for a very long time. So, but and he came to God a long time ago, but there was that time. And there are some skills that have come in quite handy from
And
that.
some fabulous stories.
Yeah. So, tattoos and memories, and scars and whatever that just, yeah, oh my goodness, Anyway,
No,
yeah,
he's awesome. Well,
he's a
and
wonderful man.
I think, it's funny, a friend, I'm going to tell you two things. So first of all, a friend of mine, we were talking about, how sometimes people split up when someone gets cancer.
Yeah. It's
And
very
she
common,
said,
apparently.
right. But I know so many people who've stayed, and she said about Kev, Heidi, he didn't just stay, he engaged.
Yeah.
And Alex is that guy too.
I would say that about my husband in a heartbeat. We were just talking this evening. I had ordered DoorDash from a little local joint here. And so we got our sandwich and our soup and bread bowl. When I eat a bread bowl, I always feel like I'm at a tavern or something, It's just something primeval about, I have conquered the day. Leave me alone with my soup. Anyway, and so we're sitting there eating, and I was talking to him about how my taste buds have changed.
Oh yeah.
And I've had upset stomach, sometimes with medicine, but sometimes just oddly they do. You go through phases. Like the hot flash thing has stayed for me from chemo. And I stopped chemo in January, and now it's middle of March, and I'm still having weird hot flashes and trouble regulating
Occasionally.
temperature.
For me, the timing of those spaced out and spaced out and spaced out. I still have them occasionally, but that's rare.
Well, that's good, because if menopause is like this, it ain't no fun. I'm just saying. At least you don't lose your hair with menopause, but the hot flashes
Sure.
is pretty rough. Anyway, so we were talking about that, and he stopped for a moment. He was just quiet, and he said, and he said, Leanna, who was his late wife, he said she never really made it through the stage of where she got back to feeling like she knew what tasted good on her taste buds, And I said, well, she had a liquid diet because she was doing some alternative therapy as well. And he was at the end because modern medicine had nothing to offer her. And he
Yeah,
said,
they've done
yeah,
all they could do that way.
they did all they could do. And so she was on a liquid diet therapy, Gerson therapy at the time. And, and I helped her with that. And that was rough. But he said, and they had the two little girls at the time. And he said, I didn't cook because I was worried about filling the house with smells of things that were too good that she couldn't eat. And I didn't feel like it was fair. So I took the kids out a lot. I didn't know what else to do. And I just thought, what does that say about somebody?
No, he is an
that's what
amazing partner.
yeah, he really is. And he's invested and engaged and just calls me gorgeous and beautiful and brought me flowers today. And, just all the sweet things that I think loving somebody, definitely it's a verb, but it better be a daily one,
Yeah.
So,
We don't do big stuff on like our anniversary or Valentine's Day because I don't need to.
yeah,
He's good to me every day. Not that we don't, we acknowledge and whatever else, but I don't need a big gesture because you do the consistent gestures every single day.
yeah. By golly, come home for a week and help me with the dishes. Like, I mean, it's, yeah. And
It's
I
the
mean,
real stuff.
I've never had to ask him that I can remember for help that way.
No, he just does things, same as Kev.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's a combination of hopefully people being, bringing themselves up or being raised right, or just becoming an adult and knowing what it's like to respect a partner because you want to be around that person. You want that person to
Right.
want to be around you, So, I feel like that's a win for everybody involved. And I try to do the same thing for him,
Yes, you do.
For me, it's bathroom towels. Our children use our bathroom, and they are little towel hoarders. And so by the time they get into the bathroom, there's like a pile of dirty towels on the ground. And then because they forgot to take them out, and somebody will have used his towel. And so I'll go in and switch out his towel before he gets in to take a shower. And I don't say anything, but I'm just like, ooh, that would make me so mad. So
It's just like,
children.
I don't know. I think it was interesting because yesterday I told you Marie called me.
Yeah.
So my friend Marie and she and her wife Cindy did a podcast. Like I think they're like the fourth one we did or something, and they talked about Cindy's breast cancer and her recurrence and how it had been treated. And
Sure.
they've since moved from Florida to New Mexico, and they bought their dream property and they're building their dream house. And they're just
And they're still
awesome,
together.
awesome people. What?
They're
No, no,
still
no. They've been together. Yeah, they've been married. I think they've been married 10 years and they've been together like 14 or something.
I'm so good.
Um,
They're happy.
yes, very definitely still together. But Marie called me yesterday out of the blue, and it's the first time we've texted and messaged and everything, but it's the first time we've talked since I moved out here and they moved to New Mexico. It was about the same time. And she said, I've been catching up on the podcast and I heard the one with your sister. How is she doing?
Yeah.
What happened? I told her you had had surgery and everything. And I just think about this the community of people who have been through hard things
Yeah.
and the kindness you see
Yeah.
as a result. And I know it's hard for you sometimes when people help you.
Yeah. What was hard for you?
Yeah, I know. We're not
I
talking
think
about me right
you
now.
have
We're
empathy
talking about
for
hey,
how
hey,
hard it is to say to say, "Yes, please." Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, no, I'm the same because
Yeah.
I like to be the helper or not the helpee.
It's much more comfortable for me. Yeah.
But it's that it's all of us who've been through it, Kate, or through other hard things that want to help.
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I really feel fortunate for everybody you've had on that has a partner who's invested in them, or good friends, or people at church or work or wherever. Like your network, your family, your friends and family, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine. I really, I hesitate to even go there mentally to think of somebody, particularly elderly folks, because it seems to hit them harder, going through this with nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody to take them to appointments, nobody to hold their hand when they're in the hospital, nobody to call because, "Hey, I'm sick and could you please just run to the store and grab something for me, or I need my medicine picked up, or would
Right.
you come feed my dog," or whatever it is. Like, I can't physically just I can't go there mentally, because it's just too heartbreaking for me. I mean, I think cancer made me more compassionate as a young person
With
when
Mindy,
when Mindy died. Yeah,
our
our sister,
sister.
when I was 12, and I was in the room when she passed, and I had been almost a roommate. Our rooms were adjoining. Through the 18 months that she was convalescing at home, through treatment, through being turned loose from treatment. She had a brain tumor, so losing her ability to talk, 4 or 5 months before she died. Luckily, she could still write, and so on. But I mean, it had taught me compassion then, but this is a different kind of compassion,
Yeah.
you know. And honestly, like when Leanna had cancer too, we were good friends, Alex's late wife, and so I had seen her have cancer and try to juggle a pregnancy, and she was driving 2 hours away each day to get chemo for like 6 weeks or something ridiculous. Anyway, so I would watch Eden, who is her oldest little girl.
Because Eden
Um,
was what, 3?
oh yeah, no. When she first got it, I think she was like 3.5. She died when she was 5.5. Anyway, so I'd watch her little girl, and then you know um, that taught me something different. But then this has taught me something completely different
Yeah.
from the reverse side of things, and I have really appreciated people who know me, especially, but even more so, people who don't know me reaching out to say, "We're fighting for you. We're pulling for you. We're praying for you. Can we send you a dinner? Can we give you a gift card? Is there some place your family likes to eat? Whatever it is. Can I take your kids to practice, or, get them from school or whatever?" And, people you don't know very well, it just being willing to offer. And a lot of it, I think, comes from them having had a family member who's been ill, or, my mom also had breast cancer, or whatever it is. It
Right.
creates that network, that is entrenched, I think, in empathy. So
The kids principal at the elementary school when we lived in Georgia when I had the first cancer,
yeah,
Anne, is just she's just an amazing human being. And she had lost her daughter Amber to cancer
Uh,
not terribly long before. And they had a meal train. And I mean, this was our like first or second year at this school. We had not been there long. And those people were just amazing. And they brought freezer meals. And my lovely neighbor, Kimberly, kept them all in her freezer. And she'd say, "What do you want tonight?" She had a little spreadsheet. "Here's what we have." And
yeah.
she'd bring something over and she'd either cook it at her house or she'd say, "I can bring it." I'm like, "No, we can cook it." People, there's a lot of, especially with what's going on in Ukraine, there
Oh,
is so much sad stuff in the world. But let me tell you, there are tons more fabulous people. They just don't get as much press.
they don't. It might not make the news. Although the thing that got me this week, and I don't think it was just because I was under anesthesia a couple of times and kind of weepy. I saw the. I mean, we don't have like Russian ancestors that I know of, or Ukrainian ancestors, or any folks.
We have Russian, Finnish and Russian, the people who were in Finland, some of the,
And they don't get along. So, but
right.
no, we, you,
When the borders changed, they were
right,
technically Russian at some point.
we're not Ukrainian or anything like that. I know some folks who've been missionaries over there, kind of, sort of. I dated a guy who'd been a missionary in Russia, and his twin brother had gone as well. But to see how the Polish people in particular, and I know folks in Moldova, I believe in
Slovakia, and yeah, lots of other countries.
have reached out. It absolutely makes my heart so glad to see those Polish mamas leaving
The
strollers.
strollers at the station. That got me
For
too.
people who came, because I thought that is such a that's a mother heart thing to do. You understand the world differently
Yeah.
because you've been a mother. And I just love that. And the whole thing, I don't know if you saw that Utah Jazz bought out like 32,000 nights on Airbnb,
Awesome.
because it's something they can do, and there's a platform already set up, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We already know they're a reputable company, so they bought them out for places for refugees to stay in Kyiv and elsewhere, Lviv, I think, too. And just like, even if you can do that for one person, for one family, people talk about, well, it won't make a difference. Well, heck, it make a difference to
Makes a difference for them.
person, so
Yeah.
of course it makes a difference for them, and it just, whatever you can do. But I mean, I feel like our folks, so dad was a policeman turned OSHA guy, and
Turned chemical weapons bioterrorism guy.
prevention specialist,
Yeah, prevention specialist.
you know,
Yeah.
and then mom was mom, and always had an interest in children and early childhood education and bettering herself
Foster care review board
foster
and
care review board. And I feel like we came from the people who were, I would say,
helpers.
started, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't any strange thing that I think, we've had family members go into the military, and family members become teachers, and family members want to get an education or gain skills, yes, to support yourself and feed yourself, but also to help others in a way that's really meaningful. Um,
And to make the world a better place.
Heck yeah. And I hear, it was funny, I was thinking today, I completely understand and respect the arguments people have about, being careful with being responsible with the number of children that you bring into the world. Absolutely. But I also feel like, I don't know that there is anything better, um, than to feel like you're a parent of children who you're trying to grow up to be good people, but that
Mhm.
are already great people inside. And
Yeah.
all you're trying to do is sort of help cultivate that for them more. And again, you don't have to be a parent to do that. You can be a big brother, big sister. You can be a mentor. You can be, a youth pastor, or just a good friend. I remember the adult friends I had when I was a kid and how much they meant to me. And I
Where
wanted,
they treated you like a person.
yeah, they treated you like you actually could have an opinion about something, and they respected you, and they asked you how you were doing. It doesn't take much. I have 60 kids at
Mm-mm.
school, and I can just look at them and mention something.
60 kids in a classroom?
No, like total. I have them for
Oh
2 hours
gosh.
each. So yeah,
Okay, okay.
I have kids. I have 6 kids at home and 60 at school, and now I have Sunday school class of 17-year-olds. There's about 10 of them, and they're all their own people. God's trying to tell me something about my peer group or something, because I'm never very far away from teenagers, and I've got three of my own right now. And anyway, so all it takes is just looking at them in the eye and mentioning something about a game they had, or something they're interested in, or the shirt they're wearing, or hey, how's that
Yeah.
thing you talked about last week? Just to reach out to people, I think, is where the kindness starts. But you especially see it as a cancer patient.
Well, I think everybody wants to be seen, right? Just to
Everybody
be
wants to be
seen.
seen and heard and understood.
Mhm.
The blessing I have in my partner, particularly, is that we understand each other on such a level that um, we don't have to explain everything to each other.
Yeah.
And that, I think you and Kev have that too. And so
Yep.
it's just one of those, like, I don't want to take it for granted. And if I need to discuss something, I will. But in general,
But I can't take it for grateful.
yeah, yeah, I can take it for grateful and just realize that he's probably already thought about it from several different angles before it ever comes to my mind or to my notice. But anyway, so I wanted to share something real quick. Can I, before we're done?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So a book my friend gave me, because like I said, I've had some dark days this past week, and where I just kind of curled up on the couch and watched Netflix and didn't do my exercises and ate too much chocolate and threw up. Anyway, so there's that. I have those days occasionally, and being
Who
in
doesn't?
is hard for me. And so, yeah, so my friend said, "What are you reading?" And I just said, "I'm not reading anything." And that's a huge red flag, because I love to read. And so she gave me this book, and this book is called Take Two Chocolates and Call Me in the Morning: 12 Semi Practical Solutions for the Really Busy Woman, by Emily Watts. And she
I
said
love it.
something about this. And I don't know about you, but when I'm feeling useless as a person, that is when I am the most depressed. And so, and of course, I've been feeling that way because I haven't been able to do anything normally, for
Right.
my family or myself. My kids have been gone this week; it's spring break for them, etc. So I really have been on my own, which is not the best thing. But I really loved what she had to say about talents. And so in Scripture, there's a parable of talents, and of a landowner who goes away. And to one servant, he gives 5 talents. And while he's gone, the servant makes 5 more talents. And so when the landowner comes back, he's really pleased with this fellow and gives him even more to be in charge of, because he's made a difference with what he's been given, basically. And then there's this one to whom he gave 2 talents, and same thing happens. The guy doubled his money, essentially, and the landowner is proud of him. The Lord is proud of him. And then to one guy, he gave 1 talent, and what did he do with it? The guy buried it. And to him, to the Lord who came back, said, "You know what? You've been ungrateful, and you're not worthy of it." And he casts him out from his service. And so it's sort of an interesting.
I always feel like that was kind of harsh, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, you know what? I always looked at it like it was too, but because he was like, I was worried something would happen to it. But I had somebody explain it to me later as, no, no. What it means is that God or the universe, or whatever you believe in, has given you the gifts they've given you for a reason, and they expect a difference.
Yeah.
Like, the world should be better for you being in it, right? So I don't think that's such a hard thing to
I didn't get
understand.
it till I was older though.
What's that?
Because at first I was like, I didn't get it till I was older. I'm like, you got your money back, relax. But that whole thing about we are here from my perspective, because it's a Christian perspective, we're
Right.
here to be Christ's hands on the earth. We are here to do the things he
Right.
would do if he was walking with every one of us every day.
Right. Because in reality, I feel that he is, but it's through other people that he's able to reach us more easily.
Well,
Um,
he doesn't need to wash
yeah,
my dishes.
right.
My husband's washing
That'd
them
be great.
for me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. And I used to think, how is Christ supposed to help me every day? Christ can't babysit my kids. Christ is not going to come in and do my laundry. But that's how he does it, is he reaches out through other people, I believe. And anyway, I think other people who are just compassionate people want to help you anyway. And
Yeah.
and they can sense that there's a need at times. And I do believe in things like God winks and tender mercies and whatever else you want to call them. But anyway, this lady said something. Um, she said something about this parable about the servants and the talents. And she said, "I'm encouraged that the reward is the same for all who are faithful, even though the talents are different." So the one who got 5 more talents and the one who got 2 more talents were both rewarded and given more to be in charge of, and kind of given accolades by their master, right, when he's returned. It makes me think that the Lord doesn't need me to be anyone other than who I am. I don't need to carry the tremendous stress of trying to do things the same way someone else would do them. What he does ask is that I become the very best me that I can. I'm thankful for this because I'm pretty sure that my own best looks quite different from a lot of other women I know. I loved that, and I've learned a lot from reading it. And shout out to my friend Stephanie for realizing that me not reading something was a huge red flag and letting me loaning me her lovely book. But then there's this other one. In this time of transition that I'm in, from one stage to another, I said to Alex last night or this morning, I can't remember which. I said, "What is it? What is it that caterpillar thing does? Do the caterpillar, like, don't they put themselves to sleep or something? Like when they're in the chrysalis, I wonder what they think about to get through to the evolution to being a butterfly." He's like, "Sweetie, I think they hibernate or something." I was like, "Well, that sounds just fine to me. Why do I have to be awake for all of this?" And he said, "Ah, but Katie," and he's like the only person who's allowed to call me by my full name. He's like, "But Katie, they don't have anything to learn." And I thought, okay, he's a wise man. But this is from Isaiah 40, in the King James Version of the Bible. It's 29 to 31. "He giveth power to the faint," it's talking about God, "and to them that have no might, he increaseth strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall." So the normally strong, you can't necessarily count on. "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." And I love that. It's
I love
Isaiah
that scripture.
40, 29 to 31. And I was thinking about that as I was fainting this past week, literally, and trying to work up the courage and, I don't know, chutzpah, I guess, to put my Fitbit back on and go for it. And I'm at 9,000 steps today, which are probably 8,000 more than I had yesterday when I was curled up on the couch feeling sorry for myself. So,
Well, and I'm first of all, I'm proud of you for getting up. Second of all, if you feel like crap tomorrow, it's okay to take a day off or do a little bit less because you're healing.
yeah,
Your body's putting a lot of energy into healing right now, Kate.
I guess so. It's hard to, I mean, when you don't feel like eating anything and nothing sounds good, and, your
Yeah.
body is hurts anyway. I mean, it's no more difficult than anybody else's journey right now, but it is something that's hard for me. I think, good gosh, I could be trying to do this in in a Ukrainian hospital that's getting bombed.
Right.
Like, how thankful am I that I am where I am and the time where I am. Some cosmic decision or accident or whatever at birth that caused me to be here and now where I have insurance and people to take care of me. And I pray every day and try to help those who don't, but I just feel like I'm superfluously blessed, but I also am trying to figure out how to be a new me that will not be the forever me, because I'm supposed to be constantly evolving, right? And that's
Yeah.
evident in physical forms right now too. So I don't know. So we're in between a lot of things, but as you were saying, it's okay not to be okay, or to have gratitude and grumbletude or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Same space.
Those things can exist in the same space. And you know what? It's it's not always going to be like this, and it will be different than it was before, but it can still be really, really good and amazing.
Yeah. I'm I'm thankful for that most of all. I'm thankful for the hope that I have through faith and through modern medicine. Honestly,
Yeah.
something I think is really interesting, with the exception of one person in my team of doctors, oncology and assistants, and all of that, and surgeons and such. All of them have been women. All of them.
That's interesting.
And I just thought, how is it, that I'm in the time, what a blessing it is to be in the time and the space where, it's Women's History Month this month as well. But also we're in that point where if my girls come to me and say, "I want to be an auto mechanic," I can say, "That sounds great. If one comes to me and says, I want to be, an oncologist, an oncology surgeon, hey, let's go for that. One of my little girls, they had a dress up day 2 weeks ago, and it was dress how you want to be or who you want to be when you grow up. And so, of course, my son goes as a park ranger, and my other daughter, she went as I think she decided she wanted to be an epidemiologist, but nobody guessed that. Anyway, and and then I had a little girl who went she has this sparkly shirt with a football on it because she plays flag football at school. And I
I
said
love it.
to her, Natalie, are you wearing that shirt because you want to be a football player? And she just nodded and said, yup. And the older girls kind of looked at me and smiled a little bit, and her older sister turns and says, well, these days anything can happen. And
Isn't that neat?
so I'm thankful for them too, and I've missed them terribly this week, but I'm glad they FaceTimed me in the hospital, and it was a wonderful sight. It's very reassuring to have that from home, so I'm blessed.
Yeah, you are. Well,
Thanks
I
for
love
calling.
you.
I love you too. Sorry for chewing your listener's ear.
No, I'm glad. And I think you're right. It helps to see the in between.
Yeah.
It helps to see the in between.
Well, we live
So,
in between, we
yeah.
live in the gray. We don't live in absolutes. Anybody who does worries me.
Yeah, I agree.
The black and the white,
And I think it's important to show process. And I think that's probably what resonated with Marie is they've been through this,
Yeah.
A couple times. And she just wanted to make sure you were all right, just like me.
I appreciate it. I know you've been through it, what, 3 times now? So 3
Yeah.
times. The trifecta.
Trifecta, hat trick. I don't know what you want to call it. But anyway, I'm hoping it'll stick with that. But if it doesn't, all I have to do is survive till the next treatment comes out.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's the next evolution,
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I love you, Kate.
Love you too. Hi. Appreciate it.
I'm so thankful that Kate's the kind of person who wants to use her experiences to make life a little bit easier for somebody else who might be going through something similar. This week, why don't you see if you can do something that lightens somebody else's load? Then count your blessings and make it a great week. Thanks for listening.